You found the Backup Wrap-Up, your go-to podcast for all things backup, recovery, and cyber recovery. In this episode, we talk about ransomware as a service. My co-author, Dr. Mike Saylor, breaks down exactly how this criminal business model works. And I do mean business. We're talking HR departments, project managers, affiliate programs, and yes, someone managing the payroll. We covered the franchise model, how botnets get rented, who's buying these attack privileges, and why the person who pays for the attack, it might just end up being the patsy. This is a must listen. By the way, if you don't know who I am, I'm W. Curtis Preston, aka Mr. Backup, and I've been passionate about backup and recovery for over 30 years, ever since I had to tell my boss there were no backups of the production database that we had just lost. I don't want that to happen to you, and that's why I do this. On this podcast, we turn unappreciated admins into cyber recovery heroes. This is the Backup Wrap-Up. Hi folks, wanted to mention my new book, Learning Ransomware Response and Recovery, which is now available for pre-order at Amazon.com. I wrote it with my co-author, Dr. Mike Saylor, who's a blue team cyber defense expert. He really knows his stuff. There are dozens of books to tell you how not to get ransomware. Our book starts with the assumption you're probably going to get ransomware. So we tell you how to respond to it and how to recover from it. It's unlike anything else out there. We tell you what you need to do now to be able to respond when it happens. We covered defenses to reduce the blast radius, how to protect your backup system, incident response procedures, negotiation strategies, backup recovery techniques, and how to prevent it from happening again. The tech reviewers gave it overwhelmingly positive feedback, so I think it's going to be a big seller. Pre-order it now. Search for Learning Ransomware Response and Recovery, or just look for my name, W. Curtis Preston. Hope you like it. Welcome to the Backup Wrap-Up. I'm your host, W. Curtis Preston, a.k.a. Mr. Backup, and I have with me Prasanna Hard Stop Malaiyandi. How's it going, Prasanna? Got somewhere to be?
Good. I think we should call you Curtis likes to chat a lot, Preston.
I'll take it. It's
I knew you would.
I got a podcast, so I can not only do I get to talk a lot, I get to listen to myself talk. That's what I say. The podcast is the perfect thing to do if you like to hear yourself talk, because you get.
I'm the exact opposite.
Yeah, exactly. That's why you don't edit and you don't listen. You don't listen to our podcast, right?
I do watch the shorts every once in a while, but yes, I do not listen to a full episode. I don't think I've listened to a single full episode. Yeah. Oh, no, I take it back. I did listen to 2 episodes, both of which did not include me. It included when I was out. It included Ben.
Oh, the beer and backups. Yeah.
Beers and backups.
The episode where he got drunk while doing a podcast. That was the best podcast ever. All right. Speaking of best podcast ever, how's it going, Mike? We got Dr. Mike Saylor on with us.
It's going well. Hey, guys.
So you know what? We've never met in person. And nope. So I have no idea like how tall you are. How tall are you?
6'2".
Yeah, he's taller than me, Prasanna. So now I'm going to add him to my list.
Now you know how it feels being normal.
So we had my 60th birthday party on Sunday, and Prasanna actually flew down to go, and he got to meet a number of my other local friends. And let's just say he was not as tall as my other friends.
Yeah.
I had 2 friends that were 6'5". Yeah, and Carlos was probably over 6 foot, and I'm sick. I used to be 6 foot, old age, but yeah. So anyway, well, welcome to the podcast. So we're this week. There was something that came up in a couple of episodes ago, which I don't think we went in depth enough, and so I thought we'd do an episode just about that. So let me set the stage a little bit. We talked in a previous episode about CryptoLocker and how that enabled that technology and things like it, right? So we started with CryptoLocker, and then there's a number of other bad guys that looked at that and went based on that model of asymmetric encryption and strong encryption. the problem really with that is that, if you're a threat actor, this is complicated stuff. And so I think a lot of people, they saw the money that people were starting to make with ransomware, and they wanted to be a part of it, but they didn't know how to do that. Does that seem like a good way to set the stage, Mike?
It is, and there's a risk component there too. They didn't want to take on all the risk.
Yeah, can you speak about that a little bit?
Sure, and that's kind of when cybercrime became somewhat democratized. Back in the day, it was one person wrote the malware, did the vulnerability assessments to find the way in, or wrote the email, or delivered the device. Whatever it is, they were involved from the development, the delivery, and the execution, and whether that was the execution of that was contained to the victim, like a denial of service or an outage or something, or it was more ransom or extortion related where they're getting paid. Back in the day, that was all one person or a group of people doing all of that. And so through deregulation, democratization of cyber, you now have these threat actors that specialize. So you've got the guys that just write the code. You've got the people that just trade in access. You've got the people that are really good at exploiting vulnerabilities and gaining access. You have the people that broker in the data. You have the people that develop and manage the botnets that these bad guys use to as the launch pad and the command and control for their attacks. So yeah, all those are different businesses now.
Right.
And so getting into, like, if you just woke up today and said, I'm going to start doing ransomware, then you've got to become an expert in all that stuff.
Right.
Or do they also have like HR and all
they do,
the other?
Yeah. Well, the bigger ones do. So the more people you have, especially the different skill sets. So now you've got to have a project manager, and then you've got to have HR for dealing with, because the project manager is going to be like, that person, I can't deal with that person. I need someone that knows how to deal with people. And so you've got HR, you've got payroll, you've got someone to manage your finances and maybe even your investments. You've got security, bodyguards and physical security, and even your own cyber team to do the cyber for you, for your organization, because other bad guys are going to attack you and law enforcement's looking for you. And so you've got social media people and PR campaigns and agents, and yeah, it can be so now you need, there's not a yellow pages for who can I call to help me get into this business. So you've got to start networking and getting your street cred, your legitimacy, and then you've got to identify ways to get your foot in the door, or somebody that can help you develop that business that you're hoping to get into.
So then, if we're talking, so all right. So first off, let's just talk about when we say ransomware as a service. I think it's a little different. When we talked about it a couple episodes ago, it's a little different than I think I originally had envisioned it. Do you want to describe what we mean when we say ransomware as a service?
There's different flavors of it. There's it's essentially you're buying into a point in time franchise. It's a campaign, and so for a set amount, let's call it $30,000. You give to a ransomware as a service organization. You give them $30,000, or the equivalent in Bitcoin or some other crypto, and you're buying a package of service. So that is, a million email addresses that have been validated, good ransomware that's been tested. It's going to get past, X percentage of anti-malware, antivirus software out there. You set or they set the ransom. So, if you want to be really aggressive, it can be a higher ransom, or if you want to play the numbers, statistically and get more, possibly more success, then maybe you go with a lower ransom. But you negotiate all this. It's pre-configured, and then they conduct the attack for you, and either they can set up a Bitcoin wallet or you do, and then that's it. You tell them, you pay them the money, you tell them what you want and how you want it, and then you just sit back and watch your wallet collect money, or not, depending on how successful it is. That's it. That's ransomware as a service.
So that sounds pretty hands off, right? For the attacker. I guess one question that I have is, so I'm the threat actor that's providing this RaaS service, and this person, I'm gonna attack this like new group of people on behalf of this person who's paid me $30,000 plus. I'm assuming I'm getting a cut of the ransom. Okay,
right.
Why, if I have the ability to attack this list of email addresses, why wouldn't I just do that without this person and just take all the ransom?
Because you're getting paid up front. So any ransomware campaign has an unknown success rate. So I could send ransomware to 1 million emails and not get a thing. But if you pay me $30,000, I've already pre-built this, right? It's kind of like, software. You build software and you sell it 1 million times. Your ROI is huge.
Right.
So these guys just have a cookie cutter approach to conducting ransomware. They've already put the time in to build it. They just copy and paste, and at a minimum, they're making $30,000.
If I kind of think in my head, and maybe this isn't the right analogy, but if I think about Amazon, right? Amazon needed to figure out how to scale their infrastructure as a business. And so they built out a bunch of infrastructure and managed it at scale. And then they were like, hey, other companies need this as well. Let's create AWS, and we can offer those same services to those customers so they don't need to know all the intricacies, and they can do the exact same things that we, Amazon, as a bookstore, as a business, do today. Is that kind of the right way to think about this, Mike?
Very similar. Yep.
Yeah. Interesting. Yeah. I think what really helps me is go ahead.
Except the bad guys don't maintain the infrastructure. It goes away. They create it on demand, and it goes away when it's done. So they are renting it from a botnet.
Oh, that's provider. Interesting. So they're renting. What they have is the software and the process, the framework, and then they're renting the infrastructure from botnets. Because that was going to be my next question is, well, where do they get the hardware on which they're going to run all this malware? And the answer is a botnet. You want to, again, we talked about it in the last episode, just give a quick description of what a botnet is.
So a botnet is compromised computers, endpoints, and infrastructure that the end user is not aware of, right? So, if in the middle of the night your computer just starts doing weird stuff, blinky lights, and the fan comes on, and your utilization shoots up, then you're probably part of a botnet, unless you're getting like a Windows update. But there are symptoms of it. But yeah, a botnet is unknowingly compromised infrastructure that is managed by a botnet group that then rents those resources out based on your request for demand. So there are botnets out there of well over millions of endpoints and infrastructure that you can rent all of it and do a pointed denial of service attack on somebody. And so now you've got 1 million computers attacking a single target. Or you can just say, I need 100 computers with 20 core processors and this much memory and this much, maybe they're all Windows machines or whatever, to do. You don't even have to tell them what you're using it for. You can just give them the specs, and they'll carve off part of their botnet and rent it to you by the hour, by the day, by the week, by the month.
So Mike, just kind of one thing you had said previously is, okay, the ransomware as a service people, right, they're able to be paid up front, right, from their customers. And so they're guaranteed something versus taking a chance with whether or not they would get a payout from doing the attacks themselves. if I go back to the Amazon analogy I brought up earlier, one thing with that analogy is Amazon, the business, leverages AWS to build the infrastructure, to build their capabilities. And so they're also a consumer of that common infrastructure, right? The same thing that customers use AWS for. In the case of ransomware as a service, those actors, are they also launching attacks sometimes on their own in addition to selling out their infrastructure? Or is it just their entire business is now focused on just finding other threat actors to sell to?
Yeah, usually ransomware as a service actors, that's a side business. So they're doing ransomware full time as their core business, and then they've got this little side hustle to make some extra money.
Interesting. By the way, to go back to the Amazon analogy, I've never verified this, but what I was told was that AWS was born out of the fact that the demand for actual Amazon computers for Amazon.com changes throughout the year, right? That basically during Christmas they had obviously a huge demand, and then after Christmas that demand tanks, right? And the original idea for AWS was to just sell the unused hardware that they weren't using while they weren't using it. And then all of a sudden they were like, hey, I think we're onto something here. So it sounds like the same thing here, where basically they're selling well, in this case, again, Mike, I'm really glad that you brought that up, that they're not providing the infrastructure per se. They're providing the processes, the software, the lists, but they actually still rent the infrastructure, the physical hardware from other people.
Yep.
Yeah.
And not to keep poking on this. So
poke.
So as far as you're aware, though, are there certain things that the ransomware as a service people keep to themselves? Like, hey, this thing is very secret or special, and I'm not going to sell it out to other folks who are buying the ransomware as a service offering, and I'm just going to keep it because it's my secret sauce. It's the thing that differentiates me as I'm doing my own attacks versus all the other people doing attacks.
Good question.
No, maybe some of their tactics, but at the same time, there's no honor among thieves. So you could give them $30,000, and a week later they could just say, "Sorry, it wasn't successful," and they could have just done nothing and taken your money. But at the same time, they're getting paid to play, and so they're probably going to do the campaign and see what they can make out of it and keep their percentage. But to my knowledge, I don't think that's any different than how they would attack somebody directly.
Yeah, this is actually a really good point, because this came out in our previous discussion, and I think I'm finally getting, this is all finally settling in. And that is that they're different than a SaaS provider, where if I go and I say I want 100 Microsoft 365 licenses, right? I'm given a portal, I'm given an admin login, and I log in, and then I administer 365. I'm still not administering the hardware and the infrastructure behind it, but I am administering my portion of that world. But it sounds like that just doesn't happen here. I don't even get a portal. I'm just, I like you said, I just sit back and I watch my wallet grow. Does that sound right?
Yep. That's pretty common. Well, I mean, to Prasanna's point, and even a point I made earlier about risk mitigation, they want to keep an arm's length. They don't want you to have access to anything. They don't want to tie you as the perpetrator, who's probably going to get caught, to them at all. So they don't want you to have a link or a login or evidence of a web page or a cached view of a dashboard. They don't want any of that. You're going to communicate with them through a chat in a Tor network, which stands for the Onion router, on the dark net, and you're going to negotiate and pay everything that way and set everything up, and that's pretty much it. They may there may be some back and forth once or twice through a chat, or a forum, but yeah, there's no access, viewing, artifacts, dashboard results, anything. It's you pay them and you hope they keep their end of the bargain and something shows up in your wallet.
Parsing what Mike said. So why, like, I'm just trying to understand, like, how did ransomware as a service really come about? Because it seems like these operators are taking some risk, right? Because there is that communication with these third parties or other people who want to do attacks, who will probably be caught, like you mentioned, right? And they are taking all the risk. But why would the ransomware as a service, like, I get they get paid up front, but it just seems like so much risk to them to be offering this for potentially not a huge payout.
Well, it's like running $1 million company, but you still buy a lottery ticket.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So you're still, it would be nice to win the lottery, even though I've got this profitable company. That's what they're doing. So ransomware actors are making a lot of money, but they're still buying lottery tickets. In this case, the lottery ticket is somebody paying them to run a campaign. Maybe it's a custom campaign. Maybe it's one they didn't intend to run. Maybe it was the next one they were going to run. But they still got an extra however much money it is. We've been saying 30,000. It could be 10,000. Yeah. It could be 100,000. And it could change based on the criteria from the buyer, right? The entrepreneur. So it's like playing the lottery in addition to your day job. And I would not doubt for a minute, there's no evidence of this, but I would not doubt for a minute that if you bought into this ransomware as a service and the bad guys have your Tor identity so that they can communicate with you, I have no doubt that they're posting that over, all over the evidence so that if they do get caught, you're the patsy. Right. So
that doesn't sound good.
Likely, and that's how they mitigate the risk.
Very
in that
nice.
Case. So you're paying them and they're using you as a scapegoat if things go south. Although, I mean, there's argument there too, because if I'm a threat actor, if I'm a ransomware actor, I'm using my ransomware.
Right.
Even though someone's paying me to do the attack, it's still my ransomware. So when law enforcement comes knocking, even though they get them, they're going to go, but I paid for the service. And now, so it's still tied to me as the developer and threat actor that's using that ransomware. But bad guys got their patsy. So
now, earlier you talked about that there were all these different disciplines within that ransomware world, right? So you've got the initial access brokers, you've got those that collect email addresses, you've got those that that are good at lateral movement, and all these different aspects. Is this where the affiliate model comes into play?
For sure. And so affiliates are generally threat actors that have been validated. There's some they've got street cred. They've looked into you. You're not law enforcement. They don't think you are. But there's also a business model in that. And so, for example, if I'm a ransomware threat actor and I need targets, I need those valid, good email addresses or credentials to use in my attack. And I know you're an access broker, or you're somebody that can get those, right? Maybe you're a data broker. Mm-hmm. So I'm going to call you and say, hey, can we build a relationship? So now we're an affiliate, and affiliates do a couple of things. One, I don't have to pay you up front in some cases. So for 1 million emails, that might be like $5,000 or 6 or 7, depends. So instead of paying you up front for that as an affiliate, especially if you can't show me, and it's difficult to do, out of 1 million records, how many of these did you validate? You're just going to go, well, over half are valid. Well, I'm going to go, all right, well, why don't I just make you an affiliate? And as an affiliate, you get paid. I'll pay you some money for the data, but then I'm also going to pay you a percentage of what we make off of this attack. So as an affiliate, there's different income models.
Interesting.
And what's the benefit to the affiliate for this? So
now we're trusted partners, and you're gonna keep coming back to me for more access. And we've built this business model now so that you're not out a bunch of money up front, and then I can appreciate maybe a little bit more than retail price or going price for the data, because we've got this success model built on the back end.
Well, and I think that it's basically it's sort of a mini version of the RaaS model, on the back end. That basically the reason is that you got this one person or company or whatever, and they're really good at getting new valid email addresses, and that's all they're really good at. They don't know how to break into something. They don't know how to send emails. They just know how to find emails, right? So they're just really good. They're like, we do this one thing, and so we'll give you, go do with these emails whatever you want. We just want to cut.
I'll give you another example of an affiliate program in the criminal enterprise. Let's take a dating site. Most females get free access to the dating site, and so as a female, we can set up bots or guys registering as females to try and interact with other guys that are paying to be a part of this. And the sole objective is to get their personal email address.
Right.
So, hey, wink, wink, nudge. I like you. Let's talk. And over a period of time, I'd like to send you some more pictures that I can't post on this platform. What's a good email address? And then you never hear from me again, because I just took that email address and sold it to an affiliate that does nothing but spam. So the affiliate bought emails from me, and then that affiliate is tied to a pornography site. And for every visit to that pornography site from a known, cataloged email address, the affiliate gets $25. And that was happening 1 million times a day.
Wow.
That's a lot of porn.
It doesn't, you don't even have to create an account. Just click in the link,
right.
and
just
then
click in the link
that
and they get paid.
showing that you're the one that went there, and this is the affiliate that sent you, gets them the money.
It's about attribution, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Fascinating.
So you talked about this offering ransomware as a service. If we look at the current environment, and I know things are constantly evolving, how many organizations are there out there that are offering ransomware as a service?
That changes every day. The big ones, there's probably 6 or so.
Those, oh, go ahead.
I was just say, if you Google that now or ask Grok or Gemini, you'll probably get some that started yesterday.
Yeah. So of these 6, though, how many entrepreneurs, in your terminology, are there out there using like these 6? Is it like thousands of people are using this infrastructure, or is it like millions?
Well, and I alluded to this earlier, never came back to it, but there's layers of consumers of ransomware as a service. So there's the entrepreneur. Bob in Florida just wants some mailbox money, and he has an extra couple $1,000s to throw at this. So that's we would call those noobs or script kiddies. Like, they don't know what they're doing. They know how to push a button or pay somebody to do something. So that's kind of bottom level. Mid-tier is more technical people that probably can put up some safeguards to protect their anonymity, and they're smart about how to manage their cryptocurrency and use it to buy things and pay for things. And then there's the other threat actors. And so maybe my objective isn't ransomware money. It isn't the crippling of a company. I want to extract their data. I want their data. Or I want this ransomware event to be a distraction for some other type of attack. Right. So there's the other threat actor, and then there's the nation state actors. Organized government actors employing these ransomware as a service guys to do to do their thing for whatever objective that'll support their bigger plan.
Yeah, you did mention in the previous episode that I could, if I wanted to attack a given company or a given, that I could literally. I'm guessing that's probably extra, a targeted attack at a company. I can pay a ransomware as a service provider to do that. Like you said, if I want to steal the data, or if I just want to cripple them, or if I don't know, I'm going to steal money from somebody. I want to steal from this company because it might do them harm.
Yep.
Yeah. Fascinating. When you talked about the using it as subterfuge, right? I was thinking about, if I remember,
alias.
What? No.
Alias.
No, I was thinking about the Conti group attack of Costa Rica, and where it appears, if I have the details correctly, it appears that this giant attack, that the whole thing was subterfuge to allow them to sort of fade off into the wilderness, because at the time they were very heavily, there was a lot of heat on them, right? There was a lot of government agencies that were after them, and so this was a way for them to basically fed off. So everybody was busy trying to figure out how to fight this giant attack, where meanwhile the only purpose of the attack was to allow the Conti group to sort of fade off into the woodwork, and all the bad guys go working for somebody else. But these aren't nice people, Mike.
They're not very respected. They're not empathetic or sympathetic. They're not hardened, malicious, like killer bad people. They're just they hide behind the computer, and they don't know their victims in a lot of cases, so they don't necessarily feel bad.
Right.
I think that's on purpose too, not knowing the victim.
Well, it goes to the mentality of a lot of cyber criminals. They're very in a lot of cases they're introverted. They're usually on the autism spectrum somewhere. Socially awkward. Not all of them. I mean, there's some. There was even a Rolling Stone article back in the day of a hacker called the Soup Nazi, and he was extravagant. He would go to parties and flaunt his wealth and his cars, and that's the exception. There's a few like that, but for the most part, very, very quiet, introverted, socially awkward people.
So the stereotypical computer person that everybody thinks about.
Yep.
Yeah. All right. Well, it's been fun. I like this idea, or I'm glad. I think I have a better understanding now of this concept of ransomware as a service, that it literally is like, I give you money, you go attack people on my behalf, and I get money. I don't do anything other than that, right? Other than maybe I might target you. I might ask you to target a specific group of people, but it's not like, I guess prior to you discussing it, I had this idea that you would provide for me a platform that I would then use to attack people, but it sounds like it's not that at all.
Right.
Maybe not today. Maybe it's someday.
Very don't look behind the curtain type of, don't mind the man behind the curtain. Just sit back and wait for the money to roll in. Very hands off.
Nice Wizard of Oz reference there. All right. Well, thanks, Mike, for another great episode.
Thank you, guys.
Thanks, Prasanna.
You're welcome.
That is a wrap. The Backup Wrap-Up is written, recorded, and produced by me, W. Curtis Preston. If you need backup or DR consulting, content generation, or expert witness work, check out backupcentral.com. You can also find links for my O'Reilly books on the same website. Remember, this is an independent podcast, and any opinions that you hear are those of the speaker and not necessarily an employer. Thanks for listening.